Hi, my name is Greg Lehman. Welcome to Moonbeams. My guest today is Beth Gyllis. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that you're excited about poetry. That's not everybody in the world. It's a niche. It's a powerful niche, but it's still a niche.
Absolutely. I was just listening to an interview with Lee Young Lee,
Mhm.
and always just a complete gold mine of wisdom, just around everything, but especially around poetry. But he said that, and I wrote it down on my calendar here. He said that poetry is upstream of reality.
Oh, that's nice.
Whatever poetry comes from, wherever it comes from, all everything we experience, everything we have, gets siphoned into the best of what we see in poetry. That we are drawing from something, a mystery, but behind everything when we write poetry, and we tap into that when we read poetry. So um, to say it's niche in the way of an interest, I connect with that, and I feel like the more people can connect with poetry with and find their different like flavors that they enjoy, the more
Hmm.
value can come, the more reality we can see, and the more we can share. I feel like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. I think that's really wise. I agree. Yeah, and I know you were going to ask, what is exciting me about poetry, and one of the things that really excites me is that there is so much variety available to readers and to poets. I mean, we even if it is niche, it's so varied and variable, and there's so many voices and so many journals and so many opportunities for publication now because of online journals that it's easy to find like-minded people who are excited about poetry and who are writing really well. So yeah, that's one thing, one of many things that excites me about poetry. But yeah, that's huge, and what you just said sort of connects with that, I think.
Absolutely. And to kind of build on that too, like you were sharing with me about this class that you're going to be, going to be teaching around contemporary poetry. If you could share just a little bit more about that and what your focus is.
Yeah, so contemporary poetry, I really do try and only teach writers who are alive and writing and publishing. And actually, when I teach it at the graduate level, I allow the students to choose the books. I don't choose the books. So our book list really comes from writers who excite the students in the class. Now I'm teaching it at the undergraduate level, so they're a little bit less knowledgeable than I am. So I do select the books that we look at, although I've had students tell me about writers they like, and that's been fun and interesting in a way to kind of build my own understanding of what they're into. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that class. If it makes, we hope it makes.
It will.
Yeah, and yeah, well, I mean, another thing that really is interesting to me as a poet who really learned, I mean, I cut my teeth more in the 80s and 90s on poetry, is this sort of unabashed diving into political themes.
Hmm.
I mean, even your poem on the website, that second one is really, really political. I mean, not in a in your face way. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. And I think it's almost hard to find poets who don't, in some ways, address politics on some level. Whereas when I was becoming a writer, that was taboo. Like, don't go into politics. That's your poetry is going to be too didactic. It's going to be too uncomplicated. And now, I mean, it just feels like the sky's the limit. And partly, I think that's because of the larger place that politics is playing in our lives and how divided our culture is. And part of it, I think, is just an openness. It's kind of going back to that idea that there's so many different venues and so many different ways to approach writing poetry. And but I find it really exciting, wonderful. I mean, instead of doors closing, doors are opening and continue to open. And that's awesome. It's a little overwhelming. It's hard to keep up. I don't know all the writers, and I never will. So yeah, like I know you have a stack that's probably getting bigger and bigger, and that's for me too. And this is my field. Like, how do I keep up? I'm not going to. I just have to try and read the prize-winning poets, like, do the best I can with the abundance. For
You know, first off, that was an enormous compliment. Thank you so much for the kind about my work. But yeah, just going back to there being room for everybody in
Mhm.
poetry. There are there are some poets, and I would, I guess I would maybe cite more like slam poets who really,
Mhm.
kind of go for being on the nose, and
Yes.
doing the opposite of subtle. And there's room for that, and then there's room for the subtle, and just for all of it to find a home and community under the umbrella of poetry, where different people can dive into the flavors that they connect with, and address, matters of politics in ways that they feel comfortable with, and are always worth expressing at any time. Um, I think I doubt there's ever been a time when people have said poetry is especially needed now for to give voice to politics. I mean, I think that's probably always been the case, and I could certainly say that that is the case now. And I'm grateful to expression and poetry and community that supports it um, when we have to
Oh,
voice these things.
yeah, for sure. One of the projects I'm involved in and that I should mention is that so I'm helping to shepherd. I'm the chief investigator, head investigator of a grant, and we are publishing journals that are specifically for incarcerated writers, and
Hmm.
that's another really exciting kind of thing that has bubbled up in my life and in my world is this new openness to incarcerated writers and artists and the importance of that, and then the importance of their having a venue to express themselves. So even though I think the country at large maybe is um, has a lack of understanding and has some biases against people who are incarcerated, I think that journals and even universities like Tufts University is starting to have a program where they're accepting incarcerated individuals or previously incarcerated. So that's been really cool too. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's the name of the program?
So my journal's called Beyond Bars, and we've been accepting work from all over the country. We had our first issue published last fall, and we have another issue I think that should be coming out pretty soon. And yeah, Beyond Bars, it's Georgia State Beyond Bars. Anyone can find it if they just Google that in, and it's a great project. And we have journals and we have merch, and it's been exciting. I have the whole team of students working on it, so I just oversee it and help it run reasonably smoothly. Try to.
No, if anybody needs to express more, I think it's our incarcerated population. If I may, like, how long have you been involved with it, and how'd you get into that?
Yeah, it kind of fell in my lap a little bit. I had done some teaching at we had a prison education program connected with Georgia State, and I had been asked to teach just on the side a few classes, and I loved it, but I had a lot going on in my life. My husband lives not in the same state as I do, so I'm always traveling. And anyway, so I'd done it, loved it, but hadn't done it for a while. And then this grant possibility came up. It was an in-house grant, and I applied for it. And I just had this idea. I was like, I don't know, publishing prison. So I applied for it. No, I started to write the application and then got sidelined, and we decided it wasn't the right fit. But then another grant possibility came up and I applied for that. And then I got invited to submit a big grant proposal. So I did that with the Mellon Foundation. And so I wrote the grant proposal and I got the grant, and now that's how it all happened. But I have a really good team, and a number of my team members also had been teaching for a long time in the prison. So I had these great connections and this great support system to help. And yeah, but it's really exciting. And we actually have a team, a blended team of incarcerated editors and student editors. So it's really like we're really embracing the community, and trying to honor what our incarcerated team wants in terms of their editorial choices and their vision for the journal. So it's been really great.
Yeah, and it's an enormous population in our country, and
Yes.
just so happy to hear that, and yeah, just I'll definitely just share out links about it so people can support and check out this work even more. So yeah, please keep it up. I love that.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a really weird, um not a U-turn exactly, but a right hand turn in my career, because I was just doing the poet thing and writing, and I still am writing and publishing, but now I'm doing this editorial work as well.
Love it. Very cool. And then yeah, so moving along here, which poets are most impactful in getting you to become a poet?
Well, it's funny. Dustin Brookshire, who you interviewed, was a former student of mine, and he was always really impacted by Anne Sexton. Well, we had that connection because when I was an undergraduate, one of my teachers, okay, I had to write a long thesis, like a 90-page, 50-page thesis as an undergraduate. And one of my teachers suggested I write about Anne Sexton. So she became this very powerful, influential figure for me. Uh, yeah, her intensity, her boldness, the beauty of her language. So I got just kind of caught up in her. I was like dreaming in Anne Sexton when I was writing that thesis way back when. And then I met the poet Stephen Dobbins, who he was a teacher of mine, and I saw him at a conference before he became my teacher, and he just opened up my eyes to the possibility of narrative in poetry. He This book called Cemetery Nights, probably nobody has ever heard of it, but it like changed my life. Hearing him read those poems, I heard him read right when it was published, and it was just like totally life changing. And then I went to graduate school and fell in love with Elizabeth Bishop and fell in love with Theodore Rettke and fell in love with Pablo Neruda and other people. But those like Stephen Dobbins and Sexton, Maxine Kumin was also another poet that I wrote
Yeah.
about. So yeah, those writers were highly influential early on in my life.
I remember reading all great guideposts in your career, in anybody's career, but I remember reading about Kuman and Sexton would just be on the phone constantly, just
Yes.
really workshopping with each other, and
Yeah,
yeah.
I wrote that was my thesis was actually about their friendship. So I wrote about them. I mean, Sexton's poetry gripped me. I mean, I loved Maxine Kumin and I love her, but for some reason Sexton's work just like got into my soul. But I love both of them. And I actually interviewed Kumin. I went to her farm when I was an undergraduate and got to meet her and talk to her. She was very generous and let me interview her. So that was really like that was life changing for sure.
I bet. Yeah, my goodness. Any specific gems you could share from that conversation?
Uh, she was charming. She was very, there was some major construction going on in the house. So I remember we were sitting in her office and there was a lot of banging going and yeah, and she didn't really take me, unfortunately, because I also was horsey and she was very horsey, but she didn't take me around the farm much. We just sat in her office, and I actually published her interview in 5 Points is one of the journals at Georgia State where I teach produces, and they published it when she right when she died. I dug it out of my
Oh, Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was published, which was kind of fun. Because I'd included it as part of my thesis, but I had never done anything with it. And then I mentioned to my friend and colleague Megan Sexton, who's the editor, that I had this interview, and she was like, "Oh my God, could we publish that?" And I was like, "Sure." Wow.
Amazing. Wow.
I know, I know. It is wow. It's wacky.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, moving along here. If you could change something about how culture views poetry today, what would it be?
I think it goes back to what I was saying about the niche quality of poetry. I think one of the things that I have noticed about the culture at large is that poets often get trotted out when something major happens in a person's life. Like someone dies, and they're like, oh, we should read a poem, or somebody gets married. Okay, maybe we should read a poem for the marriage. And there is this kind of way in which poetry is not hmm, embraced by the totality of many people's lives. It's a people understand it as ceremonial and as important, but in these very specific occasional moments and not in their lives so much. So I wish Mimi and William Carlos Williams has a great quote. I had to quote because I always get it wrong, but it is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. And I think that's
Hmm.
so true that poetry is about the deeper connections that we make to each other and the mystery and the confoundedness and the challenges and the beauty. And what people will write poems. I think probably half the population has written a poem, like scribbled it down when they're deeply in love or frantically furious or moved in some powerful emotional way. And yet it's like that's like a side thing because it doesn't happen every day, and because it is this moment of deep emotional intensity, it feels isolated. And I wish that the culture would understand how embedded those moments should be in who we are. I mean, like Andrea Gibson, you have not a deep dive, but a little bit of a dive in their work, and I'm like just amazed by how powerful they wrote about death, and they had cancer and about this drive to live even through that. So uh, I don't know where I was going with that, but I um I feel like they had their finger on the pulse that the poetry is about the essence of what we are, and I wish that more people would understand that.
Yeah, 1000%. And I feel like there is so much chatter about, loneliness and an absence of connection
Mhm.
and wanting more depth, like an appetite for depth. And I think these are common themes, from as long as people have been writing, like for all of human culture. And so much of that is in the poetry that we read, but also in the act of like sharing and creating poetry as a community too. So yeah, couldn't agree more. I love that.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I just I think that more and more, even because of our screens and how much we are spending on screens and with the visual, we lose touch with the power of a well phrased sentence, a well phrased bit of language to lift us out of ourselves. And I mean, poetry at its best does that really shockingly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that quote from I mean, William Carlos Williams kind of always does that, but just hits you right here, and that was a great quote to share. I love that.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's just a touchstone for me. It's like, yeah, we need poetry. We need that.
Certainly, certainly. Um, Well, that said, you ready for the word association game here? All right.
Pardon me?
You ready for the word association here?
I guess so. Yeah, it was, I had to write to Dustin to find, I said, am I supposed to come up with prompts? I didn't quite understand what this meant. And he said, no,
Yeah,
no.
cool. So, yeah, just yeah, so it's just 10 words. I'll just, say a word, whatever comes to mind first. Fair game. Ready to go?
Okay. Oh, and so when you say prompts, are these supposed to be, you say a word and I just say anything that comes to mind, or is it supposed to be a prompt for somebody else to use as a writing?
Oh, so I mean, so it's the former where I just say it and then whatever word comes to
Oh,
mind,
okay. Okay.
But maybe someone will take it as a prompt. That would be fun at some point.
Yeah, when I hear prompt, I'm thinking, okay, assignment.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. All right, here we go. Here we
So
go.
spark point. That's what it is. Okay. So all right, here we go. Folder.
Folder?
Mhm.
Oh, preparation for school. That wasn't a one word answer,
That's
but
cool. That's cool. Yeah, senses, whatever, whatever. Uh,
yeah.
partisan.
Red-faced man.
Internet.
Hmm. Rabbit hole.
Highlighter.
Oh, yellow stripes on a page.
Song.
Song?
Yeah.
Oh, um, emotional shifts.
Border.
Mexico. Mexico, people being deported, order, self-understanding. There's so much. There's so much. That's a hard one.
Yeah. Flag.
Division. Um, yeah. And and I see a flag and it evokes suspicion to me, and that is scary, a little scary. I feel like my relationship with flags have changed because of everything that has happened in the last 10 years.
Gotcha. Gotcha. River.
River. Oh my gosh. My friend's crush is named River.
Oh, it's a great name. Yeah.
I know it's a great name. Yeah, I also think of just disappearing. The idea that, on a river you can jump on and just go, and I love that. Yeah,
Yeah. Voice.
nice. Lovers, the bedroom, whisper, uh, uh, finding who we are through our language. Yeah.
Beautiful. Hope.
Ooh, disappearing.
Love it.
Um, yeah. Oh gosh. A nugget, a nugget of a diamond buried deep in the sand. Yeah. That's a struggle for me right now. I've been really struggling to find hope.
Hmm. But it's there.
Pardon me?
But it's there, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's there. I'm a like optimist, but I've really been. Mm, the world has not smiled on my optimism. It's making me rethink optimistic thoughts.
You're saying this as a poet who works with incarcerated people, though.
I know, I know. What's wrong with me?
Well, I mean, your actions are showing hope. Your
Yeah,
actions are um, giving nourishment and fertility to hope.
yeah.
Some of the people who need it most.
Determination too, I think. Like I'm determined, even if I feel dark, I'm determined to move past that because that's no way to live. I mean, part of me would like to curl up and, hide, but I know that is not the right choice. So I don't, even though I feel that impulse. Yeah.
So it's about outlasting the impulse, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, it's about it's about hanging on to the possibility of the diamond, of finding that diamond. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That was so generous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the great questions. I was really, I mean, there were only a few, but I was really touched by how it sent my mind in like 5,000 different directions, just that little list. Thank you for that. It's really thoughtful and thought-provoking.
Sure, sure. I was talking to I'm going to be sharing her interview pretty soon. Um Kelly Allen is a former instructor of mine. She's just
Oh,
an amazing poet, editor, dancer, and she does everything, right? But
yeah. Yeah.
she was talking about reaching for the like dash NESS, the ness of things.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah. And like I feel like that's what these words kind of bring out, you know?
Hmm.
That it's just like sitting with it and like what is its essence on as a word, but what does it evoke in me? What's my history with this word? What's it remind me of? What's
Hmm.
who's my friend's crush? You know, that comes out like everything. I feel like poets can dial into that, or you know, anyone can delve into the ness of things, but poets are especially adept and savor the moments when we can like unpack the ness of a word. So
Yeah, yeah. I've never d I was worried when I found out what it was. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna fail. I'm not gonna have an association. I'm just gonna be a failed poet. The world will know. So, anyway.
there's no failing here. There's only one. Yeah, and okay, so that said, so if you have a favorite line that you'd like to share here.
Yeah, so I was talking about that, I have several answers for that. I had a couple. I wanted to think of, recent, and I was looking at the latest journal of poetry, the latest issue of poetry, and there's a poet by the name of Stanley Plumley. I've known of Stanley Plumley like for a long time, but never really read much Stanley Plumley. I'm sure I've seen a poem or two, but like never read a book. So they have two poems, two unpublished poems in the latest issue of poetry, and this one it's from a poem titled Beach, and the poem is about end of life. It's about imagining one's death or one's end of life. And it creates this metaphor, so sets up this metaphor of walking on the beach to represent that. And the poem actually ends with life. I mean, it turns that idea on its head. But I just have to read you this one line that really stayed with me. He writes, and it's not one line. It's actually two lines. I hope that's okay. The end, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the start of the poem, just so you get the context. The end, I think, will be a little like looking down as far as I can see to where the wind has kicked up the tide. So that's how he sets up, this idea of the metaphor. And then in the middle, there's this line, and it's two lines or a line and a half. I think it'll be late afternoon. The sky, that luminous oyster white into which things disappear. That luminous oyster white into which things disappear. I mean, that just went through me when I read it. I mean, that the precision of that language, the oyster white, and the insight of it, and also the beauty of, I mean, he's writing about death, and yes, yet is seeing this kind of gorgeous image in that, which gives, I don't know, it gives me feels. It gives me feelings. It's just really powerful. So that was one. I have another one. I hope it's okay if I have
Yeah,
another
yeah,
one.
of
So
course.
I talked about Andrea Gibson, and they were spoken word. So I don't know if this is published somewhere. It might be because they have several books that they have published. But this poem, um, the poet is asked, what if you were, what is the question? It's like, what if you were the great love of your life? And they answer with like, oh my God, I hope not. Like, I don't kind of person I would like. And then they imagine this, right? Which I thought was hilarious. What if I am standing at my own doorstep? I'm sorry. What if I'm standing at my own doorstep, ringing my bell, waiting for me to answer so I can hand myself a mason jar full of water lilies I have rescued from a millionaire's Monet?
Mm.
I mean, I was just like, what? How did they do that? That is so brilliant. What if I am standing at my own doorstep, ringing my bell, waiting for me to answer so I can hand myself a mason jar full of water lilies I have rescued from a millionaire's Monet? That's stunning and so pushes us to think about ourselves in a new way. And I love that about their work and about that insight. Yeah.
Yeah, and a striking image, and it's about, I think it's about appreciating yourself for saving something that needs to be appreciated outside of it being stolen and kept away. But it's a dream too, because it's like it's very surreal.
It's so surreal. It's so surreal. And yeah, and they go on to say, I'm so charmed by the radiance of my own anarchy.
Hey,
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, damn, I'm going to teach them. I've ordered a book. I have not read it yet, but I am teaching them in the fall. There's like I think the students will love this work. Yeah,
absolutely. And then going back, I have to go back to the previous poem because you opened it
sure.
with looking down. I mean, um, the perspective of an end of a life, as in like looking down at where like the tide is always with us. The tide, I mean, as old as the earth is, the tide's been with us, and then just having the perspective of looking at like where the pattern started, from the end is
Right.
beautiful, and it kind of opens things up, and the same thing's happening with the oyster because you see that
Hmm.
light when you open an oyster, right? And
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Um, beautiful, beautiful work. Thank you so much for sharing those. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks again for the question. Like I said, it just got me excited about poetry. I've not been, I've been doing some other tasks, so I hadn't been kind of steeping myself in poetry, and this really got me excited about poetry. So thank you.
Outstanding, outstanding. And then recent upcoming publications of your own that you can share here.
Sure. So I published a chapbook. It's called After My Father, and it's hard to get the publisher. She's kind of a one-woman show, and she's not great at getting work out to people. So if anyone wants that book, they probably should just reach out to me using my email, bgillis@gsu.edu, and I can send them a book, and I'm happy to do that for the price of shipping. I don't need any money. I'm happy to send them a copy. I had a full length, the latest full length book was a co-written publication called The Conversation Turns to Wide Mouth Jars, and that's available. Kelsey Books published that, but it's available on Amazon and other places. Iris Press published my last solo publication, full-length publication called Body Braille, and that's also available on lots of different stuff. Yeah, and then I have a chapbook coming out, as I mentioned, in 2026. It's called Your Own Sky. It's a book of breakup poems, and I'm excited about that, and that will be out next year with Harbor Editions.
Yes, yes, it is. And if I could just quote one line that's
Of
coming out.
course. Oh, sorry. Yeah, please, 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 please.
Yeah, yeah. So Beth sent me, this collection that's coming out very soon. I highlighted some lines. I would love to share one as like kind of like a movie trailer almost. Um,
Love it.
I wasn't with him, starving for a drop of the salve of his voice, a shimmering glimpse as he turned down the hallway, the ghost of him sending a jolt, crown to crotch. Yeah, this hits like I reach for a ton of bricks, but it's more profound than that cliche. So, very, very excited for the collection to come out.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
and
Thank you.
for everything you're doing, the leadership you're showing, our new poets, our incarcerated population, the voice you're giving to, the need for politics and poetry. Just everything you're doing. I'm a huge fan. Really appreciate your time and energy here. Thank
Thank you. Oh, and I do want to show I have a t-shirt like so yeah, so I got John Lewis get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. I can't I can't leave it plugging John Lewis. We should all get in some good trouble. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, of all the people to quote at the end here, yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a delight, and I will give you Beth Castrodale's name. I'm happy to give you her contact information, and I have great colleagues as well, Daniel Doolin, Josh Russell. So yeah, let me know if you need any other names.
yeah, yeah. Everyone's welcome on this boat. But yeah, thanks again for your time. I'm gonna stop the recording here.
Sure,
But
sure,
yeah,
sure.
thanks so much.